Alison, and I'm just going to share my screen. During this morning's session, Leona is also going to be sending you out a wee questionnaire, and the questionnaire, it will take about 5 minutes to complete. It has 9 questions, and really what we're looking for is to be able to help you as clinicians to be able to do your job more effectively and have the resources in terms of money guidance at your disposal. But to be able to do that, we want to make sure that we're actually working with you more closely, and we're doing a wee bit of research with you this morning in terms of, you know, the type of stuff that you do use and the type of stuff that you need. So if you wouldn't mind, when Leona sends out the questionnaire, if you could complete it, that will actually help us, my colleagues back in the lab, actually to be able to design more resources for you in the role that you do. Alison, I'm just checking before I go any further. Have I shared the screen in terms of?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay,
yes.
Fair enough. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm just going to take my minimize myself there. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for the kind invitation, Alison. Money Helper is a government website, and its purpose is to help empower people and give them confidence to build their financial well-being. And it's not just for the service users that you work for, that you've come along for today. It's actually for yourself, and it's for your wider family and friends. There's so much information within this. So do use it, you know, for a wide area of information that you need. Financial well-being is about feeling secure and in control, and it's about making the most of your money day to day. It's been able to deal with the unexpected and be on track for a healthy financial future. And I suppose it's the unexpected that we're all dealing with at the moment. It's the rise in costs and how do we cope with that? And, you know, this is something that I'm going to bring out some tools out in this session today that perhaps that you could use that and again pass it on to your wider family and friends. So bringing it into today's session, it is about, you know, you working with young people and children. And, you know, if we reflect on our own experiences in childhood, you know, it does have an impact on our financial well-being and resilience for the rest of our lives. And as a clinician, you already have a very clear understanding of the financial issues that your young people in care actually do go through. And, you know, really what we want to do is be able to give you this resource of Money Helper to help to support that. I actually was listening to I was in a webinar, an internal webinar earlier on this morning, and we were talking about the financial foundations, which is one of the pillars for the financial wellbeing strategy within Northern Ireland. And we talked about Northern Ireland specifically in terms of young people actually have high levels of confidence when it comes to financial wellbeing, but low levels of decision making. And this is where Money Helper will help nudge them and coach them in the right direction to make the right decisions and take greater care when making financial decisions. And you as a clinician will be able to help them with that. So Money Helper, it's free, it's impartial money and pension guidance. It cuts through financial jargon and complexity. It will help build knowledge and confidence, and it will help, hopefully, to reduce anxiety in all types of money matters. If used as a support mechanism, it will help the children and young people that you work with take greater care when making financial decisions. So you can actually talk to us live. You can talk to us about money guidance. You can ask your young people to perhaps add this mobile number onto their mobile contacts, and they can actually communicate with us about any type of money matter that they would have. The millennials, the Gen Zs are big into this, obviously. And if we look around at our own family, you know, that's where they've got their head stuck in their mobiles and their iPads. And it's where they actually go for, you know, for advice, you know, Google search, everything. And it's actually trying to make sure that they don't go into Google searches that take them on a journey where they end up paying a lot more for what they're looking for. Whereas perhaps if we take them back into Money Helper, it guides them in terms of the knowledge and confidence. So, you know, we can actually communicate with them. If they text us, we will communicate back. My colleagues would tell me that, you know, during working hours, our communications can be as little as 90 seconds in terms of the response, or we will prompt them to actually to talk to them, you know, if we feel it's something more detailed. So in terms of actually having this here authenticated, Money Helper will be the picture that'll be on once they add this into their mobile phone. Money Helper logo here will actually be the picture that they'll get back, and they'll get a message from us to authenticate it. They can also, and you can also, talk to us live. This is a free telephone number. We're opened Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And again, that's down to, you know, getting some guidance. You know, I'm looking for this. I can't find it in the Money Helper. Can you maybe perhaps guide me in the right direction? Or I'm in this situation. These are the type of questions we get on a day-to-day basis. And it doesn't matter how small the issue is or how complex the issue is. It's a good place to actually be able to go and talk to a money expert, and knowing that as a government source, it's actually even better in that sense. We also do an interpretation service. So if English is not a young person's mother tongue and they need to communicate in their own language, we can actually get that set up. So again, it's a very simple way of actually communicating in terms of being able to talk on the phone. And then we will tease out other areas, you know, in terms of a holistic service, you know. So that takes care of that. And then, of course, we can talk on web chats and online forums. Just for your own information, you know, pension guidance, it's a different team, it's a different telephone number, but you can actually also talk to us about pension guidance in that sense. Now, I'm just going to close that area down so you know exactly where to send young people, or even just yourselves in terms of communicating with young people, where to actually talk to us live. So what I want to now do is draw you into the Money Helper website in terms of it being a self-serve section. And, you know, I mentioned earlier about building your knowledge and confidence up in a particular subject. And this is this kind of stuff that I'm going to bring through now in order to help you, you know, to help your young people. And it is particularly important that children, young people, growing up in vulnerable circumstances, have opportunities, you know, to talk money, gain money skills throughout their childhood, and, you know, access quality money guidance with the support of Money Helper, because it helps them to become more independent as they move forward. And then, of course, then hopefully use Money Helper as a support mechanism in terms of that. So talking about milestones, let's look at some of the milestones that's within this here this site. So first of all, you can see up here in the blue header, we have 8 core topics, money guidance topics. So for example, you'll have benefits, and then you'll have everyday money. And you can see there's a pattern here in terms of each topic will break into subtopics. And then there, on the right hand side, there's always going to be a list of tools. So that's the pattern. We follow the same pattern. So what I want to do is just go in and out of some of these here in terms of helping you, you know, be aware of what's in here. So first of all, I want to look at choosing a bank account. So I'm going to go into everyday money for that. And then I'm going into the subtopic of banking. And then I can see here, if I scroll down, I can actually see what exactly is in here in terms of the support, perhaps, that I can actually either cut and paste the URL, or actually, you know, give, you know, print it off and give it to the young person. My dog has just done a turn here and pulled my lead out of the thing here. That's why you've probably seen the rest of the room there. But in terms of actually choosing a bank account, it's, you know, this is a good place to actually go in terms of, showing the young person where they need to be delivering to. So we can actually look at, for example, how to open, switch, or to close a bank account. So if I open that as an article, I can see here there's a full guide here in terms of what I can perhaps give a young person, you know, in terms of opening an account. So you can see here what's in the guide. And then if I scroll down, you know, it's going to give me information and, you know, choosing a bank account, how to choose the right bank account. So I can click onto that. And then it's going to take me to another article within the banking area. So I want to now choose the right bank account. So it's going to take me right down. I can see what's in the guide again. We've looked at everything in terms of, you know, if somebody's claiming universal credit, it's going to take all that information into account. So I can choose the type of account I want. Do I want a current account? what is a current account? Now, we ourselves will explain to our own young people what is a current account, but here it is with more information to help your young person be able to build their knowledge and understand of what a current account is from the comfort of their own desk, rather than deciding to go with, somebody else has got this particular bank, I'll just go with them. It might not even fit their own lifestyle or their needs. But this is a great way for people to actually build it. So I now know what a current account is. I can continue on to scroll on down and look to see what else there is. So, it's directing me now immediately to fee-free basic bank accounts. And this, as a young person, this is what I want. This is what we all want in that sense. But it's then signposting me off then to look at comparison tools. So I can actually look to see what banks are offering me when I start to look at an account, what they're offering to me as per today's information, because we keep this information up to date on a daily basis. So I can continue to scroll on down and keep reading in terms of what information is here. So, for example, if a young person is going to end up being a student or a graduate, it could take them to a different type of student and graduate bank account. So you can see here how this particular article is building on my knowledge and understanding. And I'm not learning from what my friends have done or what other people have followed. I'm actually guiding this young person in the right direction. And its guidance is what you want to be able to do, to be able to be doing as a clinician, because we don't want to sit in the advice space, because the advice space takes you into just regulated areas, and we're not qualified to do that. So this is where you would drive people through, guiding them in the right direction. So that it takes care of looking at banking in terms of opening up an account. But there's stuff on here in terms of being able to see bank fees at a glance, because this is where perhaps our young people don't actually understand, but actually going into an overdraft and how an overdraft will bring on interest and charges that will actually eat into their income. And this is a great place, again, in order to actually help a young person in terms of understanding this. So it will actually talk about Overdrafts Explained. So if I click into here, it's going to again take me to an article in terms of Overdrafts Explained. So I actually understand, how does an overdraft work? If I need to organize an overdraft, because people would say cash no issue, but cash is an issue when you get into an overdraft, and the penalties and charges actually come with this. So you can actually see here, as you continue on down, it's actually drawn the young person in, in terms of understanding overdrafts, but also being able to live within a squeezed income. And then we're starting now to talk to them about budgeting and being able to live and budget within their income, so they don't actually end up paying for unnecessary charges at the bank. So that takes care of the banking situation. But before I leave the banking, I just want to pop across here and show you that you can actually help a young person to open up an account, which is actually a fee-free account, by using this particular tool. So it's just deciding here what it wants to do here. It's running around here at the moment. So what I can do here is look at opening up an account from the comfort of my own desk. And again, this is something that you can use, pass across again to family and friends. So this information, as I said earlier, it actually is demonstrating that it's up to date as per today's date. I actually want to apply a filter because I'm looking to find out, well, what kind of account do I want? So I'm going to look for a student account, and I'm going to look for a children. No, sorry, I'm going to just go to take that out. I'm going to look for a children and young persons account under 18. I don't want any overdraft facilities, but I'm just going to ask what they would be charging. I don't want any monthly fees. I do want a walk-in branch. I want post office banking. I want 7-day switching. Not really worried about a checkbook, but I do want a mobile app, and I want them to be open to new customers. And then I want to find out about general accounts, overdraft fees, direct debit fees, payment fees, and other fees. So I'm going to just actually pop this student account in as well. Now, it'll come up differently for each filter that I will apply in this case. Now, we can see here that there's 173 accounts on here. Now, that's going to take in building societies and banks throughout the UK, but it's also going to take into account, it could be, for example, a bank here in Northern Ireland may have 3 or 4 different accounts, that they offer. So it's going to give me, based on my filter here, it's going to give me the offer of what's available for me as if I was applying for as a young person. So if I apply the filter, it's now telling me that, for example, and you would look at it on the basis of, I suppose, where you are, so if you're in the east of the province, you would have Barclays, have a few banks there, and you'd be able to actually open up perhaps a student edition there. But if I scroll on down, I can actually look here to see what's available here. So, for example, AIB is offering me a student account, and you can see the information that's there. But I'm looking here to see if I can put 2 together that's within Northern Ireland. I may not. Sometimes you're lucky, and when you do this filter, you can see 2 together. So, if not, well, here we go. So you can see here Bank of Ireland and Ulster Bank, and this is what they're charging. You can see it's 000 the whole way down because I'm looking for it for a young person, so they're not going to charge. There's pennies here in terms of foreign currency, but there's nothing here in terms of, they're very similar. So if you were actually, getting a young person to open a bank account, it's nice for them to actually see the details. But what you would then get them to do is actually look for, you can see here, to see the full features and benefits, you actually would click the provider's website. So you actually would go in then to the bank and look at more detail. And I'm just looking here because I did ask for a check there. So you can see there's £8 here for cancelling check with Bank of Ireland, I think it is, and it's 0 for cancelling check. So, there could be something very, very simple, in terms of what could perhaps be, how people will actually judge that in terms of that particular day's fees. But this is a brilliant filter, and again, using it for your own, just actually comparing. We do kind of tend to think our own bank is not always giving us the best deal if it does come to charges, but actually this is a great tool here to be able to look at it from that perspective. I can stop here, Alison, if anybody wants to ask any questions so far, if there's anything else that they'd like to see in and around the banking tools here. I can pause here for a wee second.
Well, there's nothing just in the chat yet, but if anyone has any questions, unmute and speak now. No, everybody's fine.
Brilliant. Okay, so just before I leave banking, because I was just recalling to myself when I was doing it, the likes of direct debits and standing orders, because if young people are moving towards going into independent living, they will have to set up direct debits, and this again is great articles here to explain to them what the difference is between direct debits and standing orders, because at the end of the day, you really, as an adult, you actually have to sit and think yourself, and this is a great piece of information again, in terms of actually supporting a young person and bringing this information out to them, so that they, you could do a wee session, get them to, I want you to look and read this, or, use it as a good resource, so they're actually, understanding what they're doing, because, setting up that bank account initially and taking that independence and moving forward themselves, it's actually very, very good, to have that information. And you can see here, there's great information here in terms of, how to stay safe and using online banking as a great example as well. It tells them what is on online banking, how to stay secure when doing online banking, and also be able to be secure when they're doing mobile banking. So, and the type of things that could go wrong, for example, when they're doing that. And I can't stress enough how brilliant this site is in terms of all of us actually going back to basics and actually learning the information, and just grabbing stuff here on this to continue to build our own knowledge and understanding. Another one under everyday money that I think would be very, very good is under credit scores. Now, this again is something, in terms of credit scores, as adults, it's a good opportunity for ourselves to get tips and ideas in terms of improving our credit score. But it's actually given our young people, the importance of actually, making sure that, when they do, set up direct debits or they do take out contracts, that their future self will want them to do it right, especially when it comes to borrowing money later on. And this is really, these are very, very good articles to actually set the scene. Taking out a mobile phone and then selling the mobile, and then failing to pay the contract is not a good, sensible idea. I sat in a focus group with young people, and two of them actually had done this, and they thought that was a brilliant laugh. And this is that's their young selves, but their future selves will actually be disappointed that they did that, because it will affect their power of borrowing credit in later life. So here it's great because you can actually say, how can a poor credit rating affect you? And this information here, it will mean that they could end up getting higher interest rates being charged, unfortunately, or they're given smaller credit limits, or their application for borrowing could be declined. And that's their future self when they're actually looking to settle down as a family and maybe perhaps get a mortgage or get a loan for a car or whatever. And this is so important to actually embed that in very, very early in terms of credit ratings. And credit is a big area at the moment, because a lot of credit cards that that perhaps give interest-free credit moving across. Sorry, I've opened the wrong one here. But there's a lot of credits cards out there that people will be applying for. They're not, people are not going to get credit card switches on interest-free if their credit score isn't good. And there's a lot of credit cards that we're offering interest-free credits is actually reduced dramatically now compared to what it was five years ago. So it's so important, to get their credit scores, right from the very beginning, give them a brilliant foundation and put them on the right track in terms of helping to build their credit score as well. So, I'm opening this here up, to how to find the right credit card is a great example of that in terms of actually getting on that ladder. And I know this sounds maybe a bit overwhelming, but this is the natural steps that we take, ourselves as young people moving into adulthood. But this is the type of stuff here that, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have. I didn't know about this information here until I joined Money and Pension Service for my own children. They learned from me, and I may not have been giving them the right information. But this is a great place here to be able to help our young children to actually embed that information. So what's the best buy tables? It's giving them that information. But if you scroll on down, we're going to be taking them to the Martin Lewis website, because we don't repeat information, we don't duplicate information. We will send you to the next available website that will have that power of information. So I'm just going to again pause there if anybody has any questions there before I move on to one of the tools, another tool, sorry.
No, nothing on the chat yet.
Perfect. Well,
Margaret, the only thing is there is a site called moneysavingexpert.com that a person can go on to that site and without affecting their credit rating can look at what credit card, what bank, what personal loan they would have a better chance of being accepted on without affecting their credit rating.
Yeah, they can do, they can actually, I'm not a money expert here or a financial expert here, but they can go on and kind of like, do applications. So for example, I'm going to use my daughter. My daughter's 23 and she lives in London now for the last, well, she went over there to university and she's working there. But she can't get her credit score. She cannot get on her credit score. Now we think we've nailed it. in terms of she's not on the electoral register over in England. She's on it still here, and that perhaps is the reason why. But she's been applying to see what she can do, but that's not affecting anything that she's doing. It's, people may say, oh, don't go on there. It's what's called soft searches, and it shouldn't affect them at all, so hopefully that answers that question. Is it Jared?
Yeah, thank you.
Gerald, sorry. But no, that's a good place to go to actually build, you're looking at that information on the credit scores. If I was to go on here, Gerald, to the credit score one here, I can actually look here on how to check your credit rating. If I go down here, it'll actually take me to, the Experian, the Equifax and TransUnion. I can go in there and go through the process with them, and you're just applying, or here you can see here the Money Saving Expert Credit Club. It's a good partner to go into, or Karma, and it's just taking the young person to these safe sources, in that sense. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stay within everyday money, because our young people are, if they are, I'm thinking here more those that have left foster care and they're moved into independent living, and they could be in benefits or they could be a student, but they may not have the bandwidth in order to budget. They live for today and forget about tomorrow, I suppose, and it is trying to get them to be more adult-like in terms of budgeting. And when you say the word budgeting, they just don't want to know, but this is a great tool here to be able to encourage them to go, to be part of a challenge in terms of the Couch to Financial Fitness. So this is more inspired by the Couch to 5K, where we actually will coach and nudge you along the way. And if you can get them to do this is a great way of actually them finding more about what's within the Money Helper in terms of building their own financial well-being. So it breaks into two areas. There's Money Essentials and then there's Money Milestones. So if I go into the Money Essentials, it's going to take me on a journey of managing my budget. It's going to help me to stay on top of my bills and payments. It's going to help me to cut costs, and it's going to help me to build on savings. So you can see here that's a challenge and a half itself, and it may take that young person longer than 1 week to, for example, to do a budget. But if we're nudging them and we're coaching them through this tool, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's just making sure that we're building them good foundations in terms of that will help their future selves in terms of having good financial education and having a bit of savings and money to work from. So if I look at managing my budget, it's given me 3 activities for the week. If I look at the view, it's taken me through different steps. So if you're working with a young person, this is the type of stuff that's taking them there and taking them on that journey. So, it's getting them to read the information in step 1, step 2, it's, read the information, but here is a brilliant article on the beginner's guide to managing your money. So, they need to read this. So I click that'll take me to that section within the Money Helper. And then step 3 is telling me, right, okay, we're on our way now. We're now looking to get you to set a few hours aside to start looking at a budget. So it's asking then, what's my mood in terms of a mood emoji, and that's the fun factor in it, in terms of how you feeling. So it's literally from the, oh, I can't be bothered, I don't want to do this, right through to actually feeling motivated, by it, because they, they've moved in the right direction in terms of turning the dial. So if we look then at how then to create a budget, it's getting them to actually look at their income, but it's also looking at their expenditure, and it's pulling all that expenditure together so that they actually can start to pull together a budget planner. I'm going to pop into this budget planner to demonstrate it for you, to show you how good this tool is. And again, it's brilliant for your own, use and your wider family's use. So if your young people are want to use this particular one, I know that there's loads in the market, but I'm a wee bit biased. I do think this is one of the best. What it does, it gets them to add in their income and their expenditure. Then it gives them a breakdown of the, the calculations based on their expenditure, and then it gives them personalized tips. So I'm going to just throw in a couple of figures into this here to demonstrate this. So it shows you them, it gives their pay, and then it gives their benefits and their tax credits. So you can see here, the amount of information is there, and then of course then if there was benefits. So I'm just going to do this for my own self in terms of demonstrating this, but you can see here, you can get a young person to do it even just as a wee task initially, to be able to see, well, do they like this as a budget planner? Could they use it? Because if they can use it, they can actually save this on and actually be able to go back in and visit it every 2 weeks. And I'll show you in a wee second how you do that there. So I'm going to do it pay after tax. I'm just going to fire in some figures here to show you how this can be done. So I'm just going to, that's my income. So I can then, once I do my income, I then move across then to the household bills. So I'm going to look at my mortgage. So it's $350, and I'm not going to fill in every one of them, but I'm just showing you how much detail that's in here. You'll have your utilities then, so you've got your rates, your gas, your electricity, everything's in here. So I've got my mobile phone. So I'm going to go 100 for mobile and 45 for broadband. And then I'm going to jump up again and go into my living costs. So you can see here in the living costs, it's asking for, the typical. So I'm going to go 100. And this is where I'm going to show you how, when I'm throwing in figures, how you can actually over budget. So I'm going to throw 100 into takeaways and 100 into alcohol. And I know that that's immediately going to throw that up as a concern in terms of living costs. So I'll go 50 a week for cigarettes. But you can see here the clothes and shoes, the health and the beauty, the amount of information that's there, right down to your dental care and your eye care, if you were using that yourself as a budget planner. And what it does actually, it gives you the kind of stuff in here that you actually wouldn't be thinking. You'd be adding it all up in your head, and you'd be leaving out half the stuff. So this is brilliant. So I'm just going to go 50 for overdrafts and interest. I'm going to go 20 for bank account fees, and I'll go 50 for penalties. I'm exaggerating obviously these figures, but I just want to demonstrate the information that's here. So it's given my loan repayments. So I'm going to do 20 in loan repayments. But you can see here the credit card repayments. I'm going to go 20 there, and then it's asking me about savings. So I'm going to save 10. But again, it's the details fantastic. Into family and friends, you can see here right down to the pocket money for children, the school fees, the things again that sometimes actually, you don't actually budget for them, and you're not even thinking about it, and then all of a sudden these unexpected, school trips come up, or you have to get into a draw for the school, and these are the type of things that when you are putting stuff in, at least you can actually have it within a wider budget, so you could support for relatives, you've got your pets, your donations, and your sponsorships, and then again you've got your travel. So here's our petrol or diesel. So I'm going to just throw in 100 for diesel. And then you can see there the public transport. There's so much information here by actually giving it to a young person to use, so they've got their cinema trips. So I'm going to go 30 for that. Their days out, you can see their hobbies, eating out, going for drinks, that information is all built in. And then of course we've got our birthdays, and then we've got Christmas. So I'm just throwing at it, and I would love to have a wee holiday. So I'm just going to go this, and just then it comes, I then take it as a summary. So you can see here that based on my income, I have an overspend of £634. Now, if we go back, it wasn't weekly, it wasn't monthly, could be annually, in terms of some of the stuff that I've had. But you can see here that my living costs are really oversubscribed. It takes over nearly 3/4 of what my spend is. But that could be the same with family and friends, depending if a young person's putting it in. So it's always good for them to see it, in terms of that. So I'm going to go back in. It's given me consideration to edit. And at this point, I can then edit and take it, say, £10 a week for takeaways, and I'll just go 0 for alcohol and 0 for cigarettes. And then see, I'll go back up to my summary then and see what's happening. And you can see here, few adjustments here. My budget is looking far better, but you know, I know that I could probably do, you know, maybe better again. If I look at my finance and insurance, I know that I talked about my bank fees and charges were 50. If I can work on that and bring that down to 30, you know, I may have, and go back up to my summary, I may be able to have a bit of spare cash that I can actually then use for other areas. Now, I do appreciate I've only just put on a few figures and it could be different for everybody, but you can see here how using this budget calculator or planner or whatever, that you can actually see how the spending breakdowns happening, you know, and you visualize it and be able to go on and edit it at the areas that you perhaps maybe are overspending, or, you know, because you want to have a savings objective. It's actually good to see it in a different way. Now, I actually talked about, you know, your young people being able to sign in to save this, because it is lovely. It's nice. It's you know, you can see the whole thing playing out here. So it's more engaging than having it on an Excel. So they can actually sign in here to save the budget plan. And again, yourselves, you know, you can do this. So you create your own. I don't have an account. Save your work. So if I save my work, it's just giving me, you know, first name, email, you know, you're using your personal email, your password that you want to create, your contact number if it's optional, and your postcode. Now, we actually don't carry information here in terms of, oh, you know, there's so many people in Northern Ireland has used this. It would just be, the postcode would be if we needed to go back and you're saying you've lost your password, you don't want to lose your budget, we would ask you security questions in terms of that information. So, you know, to be able to support you. So I'm just going to go back again. It then gives me personalized tips. Because I'm in a budget, I'm in a green budget of spare cash, it's telling me now to consider saving, you know, assign every pound a roll. Just because I've got that money in my current account doesn't mean to say that I should spend it. So it's giving me, you know, it's bringing me here into the savings habit. It'll talk to me within that there about having an emergency savings of 3 months, you know, tucked away, or, you know, it'll talk about what is your savings objective, you know, long term, what's your future needs and stuff like that there. But it's also getting me to think about, you know, how can I cut, how can I save money on household costs? So it's giving me a bit more information because I'm motivated. I can see my savings, or if it's a deficit, it'll also give that personalized tip. But then it's actually then saying, you know, think about whether, you know, invest in your money in the area that's right for you. Again, it'll take me to that area. It'll coach me along the way. And then it'll take me right back to the beginner's guide to managing my money. And at that point, perhaps I will be more motivated to actually go in and look at that. It'll take me back. It's literally the first activity of the week, you know, so it's actually getting me to think more of it. Now, just before I leave this, if you feel, you know, I really don't want my information on here. It's sitting on the Money Helper site. I really don't want them to know anything about me. And I promise you, we're not interested. It's there as a tool for yourself. You can actually download this onto an Excel spreadsheet, so you can see it there. So if I want to download it there, I just click that and it'll take me then. You probably don't see it at the bottom of my screen here, but it's already given my budget here in an Excel down in the left-hand corner of the screen. So that then, you know, is the budget planner. And I'll show you how it sits if you don't want to do if your young people don't want to do the Couch to Financial Fitness. I'll show it to you in a wee second as to where you can find that. So that takes care of step 2. So, but it will take more than just maybe a couple of hours to do, because, you know, it is that, oh God, you have to find the information. We're all going through it. We have to go to the filing cabinet or the drawers to find out what we're putting out. But it will get us to look more closely at our bank statements and what we actually have signed up to in direct debits. And it will maybe get us to maybe look more closely to and where we're, you know, tapping the card for things that perhaps, you know, that we could maybe be a wee bit more frugal on, you know. So that's a great exercise to get your young people, you know, involved in. And again, as I say, it's for ourselves. It gets us, we're all in this boat together in terms of managing our own money. So it's telling me now to stay motivated. in terms of checking in with that, you know, stay on top of your figures. So that's the reason why you would save the budget planner in that sense. So again, how am I feeling? You know, I've done my budget plan. I actually just starting to feel good here, you know, in terms of, you know, starting off, I don't want to do this, right through to you can see it coming together, you know, or it could be that you're feeling a wee bit may because you're in a deficit budget, but you know that you're going to the next stage. So the third part, the third activity of week 1 here is still saying, you know, look for positive influencers. You know, we're all on social media, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. You know, we can see, you know, sell, or you have to have the latest this or the latest that. And it's actually that sometimes is where your money goes, because before you know it, you've got the email, you're off to that website, you're buying stuff that you don't need. And none of us are any different. And it's a case of getting our young people to follow positive influencers, you know, so that they can be a bit more frugal with what they have and do, you know, and it is building that financial foundation from a very, very early age. You know, like my husband would tell me, and he preached to my children by saying, you know, they can see the latest stuff going out. I can see the latest stuff going out. And he goes, you don't see the back. You only see what they're putting out on the purple bags and the orders that they've got, but you actually don't see the back door. And that is very, very true, you know, and like, you know, we shouldn't be pushed and live our lifestyles with what we're looking at on social media. It's, you know, we'll live with what we've got and be happy and focused on what we've got and strive for the best, you know, and that's really what we're looking for positive influencers. And there's a great money helper budgeting and saving Facebook group here that we can get our young people to join to be able to get tips and ideas. But there's also great financial influencers out there too on Instagram, and I follow a few of them, and they are good, you know. So it is getting our young people to follow those steps in terms of, you know, this challenge of, you know, the Couch to Financial Fitness challenge, you know. And as I said earlier, it could take more than 1 week to do a budget planner, but actually getting them to do that, it's important so they actually can understand their own stuff visually on, you know, on a soft budget planner, or if they printed off a hard one, you know. So I don't want to kill this one here with you because I don't want to bore you too much on this particular one, but I just want to show you like how week 2 can go. You know, it's getting them to think about, you know, their bills and their payments, and, you know, their outstanding payments, and how responsible they have to be, you know, if they're going into independent living, how they must, you know, be able to get the best deal, number one. But, you know, it's getting them to read help with payments, bills and payments, but it's also getting them to go back to the budget planner. So if they think they can skip this, it's going to say to them, look, you know, nudge you in the right direction, go back to your budget planner. You can't deal with bills and payments and debt if you actually haven't got a solid foundation. So it's taking them right back there. But it's also getting them, if they're worried, to be able to reach out to us and talk to us live, you know, as part of step 3. And then the second part of that week is, you know, saying, right, okay, gather up your details. You know, we know what it's like. We know it's daunting and stressful, but we are starting to become more adult-like and more mature. And even as adults, we find it daunting and stressful, but actually it's getting them, again, coaching them and nudging them in the right direction, you know, and, you know, it's giving them help if they're struggling with debt. And at this stage, by reading that, it's going to nudge them then, you know, if they need to talk about their debt and, you know, I've missed a payment or I'm not able to pay that, it's getting them then to actually reach out to speak to a debt specialist. And, you know, debt specialist is something not to fear, because, you know, they'll never judge. They'll never make that person feel that they're in a bad situation. They'll always be able to suggest ways to help them to deal with debt. And, you know, we can actually give online debt in Northern Ireland, online debt through PayPlan, Step Change. And then, for example, in telephone debt, we'll do Advice NI, as you can see here. And Advice NI will then triage that out into the community advices and be able to talk to young people about debt. Now, I know that might sound a step too far. However, it can take up to 3 years before someone actually reaches out to get debt advice. So actually embedding the importance of talking to someone if they are getting into debt. And that kind of debt can be anything from gambling to, you know, I've taken on an illegal, illicit money loan. I've got involved with something that is, you know, pulling me into a loan shark, or it could be, you know, I've had that mobile contract, sold the phone, I still have to pay for the contract. They're after me. The credit people are after you. A young person, or, you know, this anything like that there. It is important that they speak to somebody that they can actually talk to, a money saving expert. And because it's debt, it's important that they talk to a debt specialist within Northern Ireland. So please, you know, use Advice NI. And if they don't want to speak to Advice NI, they can talk to Pay Plan or Step Change, you know, about their situation. But the choice is there. And as clinicians yourselves, you're actually directing them where to actually go in terms of getting that. So we haven't left week 2 yet, but you can see here how I've gone into money troubles by actually jumping into the debt advice locator. I'll just show you there. Look, I've gone into money troubles, but I've used an awful lot within this Couch to Financial Fitness. You know, and this young person will be going through that in terms of that support. But then it's taking them to how to prioritize your debts, because, you know, we do need that financial education. You know, we have to keep the roof over our heads. We have to make sure that, you know, this bill's paid over this bill. And it's given that young person, again, that financial foundation by actually getting them to read this here on how to prioritize their debts. But again, it's nudging them. Are they fallen into debt, you know, or could they fall into debt? It's giving them, you know, to be able to understand that they can reach out and get support from somebody, but they'll get that coaching from that debt specialist on what to do next, and they will look after them. You know, they'll follow them through, they'll follow it up with them. So, you know, you have another person that's looking after that young person if, God forbid, that they get into debt. And again, get them to, you know, join the Debt Community Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. And by joining that there, they can actually be able to understand, you know, the importance of not going down the rocky road of, you know, a spiral of debt. So I'm going to just kind of draw, you know, to a close on this particular tool, but I just want to get across to you how good the Couch to Financial Fitness is, because you're taking the young person on that journey. It's a good tool. You know, it's on, you know, under Everyday Money. It's a good, you know, Couch to Financial Fitness. It's a motivator, and they're getting drawn in, they're getting nudged, they're getting coached, they're getting trained as they go along, and we're taking them on a journey of the money helper. And for me, it's a brilliant one. If perhaps they don't want to do that and they want to go straight into the budget planner, this is the budget planner, which sits below the compare the bank accounts. You know, and again, they can use the credit card calculator. So there's fantastic tools within this particular section here, if you'd like to give it to the young person. So I'm just going to close off there, because the next area that I want to actually go into is, I suppose it's maybe taking, you know, the young person into teaching them about money. So I'm going to pop into the family and care section here, and you can see all the information that's on that. But really what I wanted to, I mean, I do understand that you know, many of you come from different areas within working with young people, children and young people, but there's fantastic articles within this section here in terms of, you know, how to teach children about money, you know, so how to teach your 3-year-old and your 4-year-old money. And these are fantastic articles in terms of the power of play, you know, in terms of the importance of counting, because, you know, children from a very young age, you know, they build the attitudes and habits around money, and, you know, they'll see us going on with our cards and we're tapping it on the PDQ machines and we're off with our bags, but they actually don't understand how you have to build that, how you get that money and how you have to control the spending. And it's that money management activities that we build in here. So, you know, these are the brilliant articles in terms of, you know, if I go back in here to show you, you know, in terms of, you know, you are a clinician working with young children and young people, you can see here, you know, how, you know, to talk to 3- and 4-year-olds about money, how to talk to 5- and 6-year-olds, 7- to 8-year-olds, 9- to 12-year-olds, and teenagers about money. And it's that, and starting to get into that independence when they're teenagers. And I think these articles here will be very, very good, you know, for foster carers in terms of actually being able to teach the children that they're fostering the importance of money. And if we look here too, you can actually see here, you know, we're talking about the young people, how, you know, how do you talk to grown-up children about money? And again, these type of articles are fantastic, you know, for our own children, you know, in terms of, you know, helping them to be more responsible, right through from early on, right through to they're growing up and they're trying to get on the property ladder. And this is brilliant. But, you know, you're going to actually then have young people that perhaps are, you know, they're gone into independent living, and, you know, they're actually, you know, they're perhaps maybe, you know, living with a partner, and, you know, their partners actually will have different attitudes and motivations about money. And here, you know, this is a great one in terms of actually helping that young person that is still under, you know, the healthcare system to be able to tackle different attitudes and motivations about money. You know, so it's actually they having difficult, not necessarily difficult, but they having, you know, conversations that may be tough in terms of actually understanding what their motivations are about money against what their partner's motivation about it is. So that takes care of the talk on money to children. But, you know, if your young children then are moving then towards student, becoming a student, again, you know, I do appreciate they're still under, you know, the healthcare system, but there's brilliant stuff in here in terms of student money and, you know, getting the right bank account to university budgeting tips. But there's a brilliant one here, and this is a PDF one, and it actually goes into the, you know, how they can get themselves involved in contracts that perhaps they can't get themselves out of, and it talks about the clauses within contracts and how that could have a very big effect on their credit scores down the line. So it's a great tool to use as well. So, you know, although, you know, each of the children and young people that you work with will have their own set of learning needs and priorities when it comes to understanding money, there are some general points that are worth remembering, you know, and at MAPS, we do a lot of research, and we've been trying to, you know, kind of, you know, develop a positive, you know, help children and young people develop a positive mindset of, you know, save or spend, you know, in that sense. And it is so important to actually get people to actually from a very early age, you know, based on that talk money, for them to be able to perhaps learn from other care leavers that perhaps have left the system, and maybe, you know, they could be able to talk through their experiences in terms of how they manage their money independently. And I'm not teaching you how to suck eggs, I'm sure you actually do that, but, you know, I know that, you know, I talked about my daughter earlier, you know, she made all the mistakes no matter what. Even me as a parent, she made so many mistakes in terms of, she was a way off, and, you know, she cringes now with the stuff that she did, and, you know, the money that she blew, you know, and it was a case of, you know, she herself now as a 23-year-old would happily go back into university and talk to year ones about, you know, don't do this and don't do that, and you know, and stuff like that there. So it is good for, you know, children, young people that are going through the system just now to learn from older care leavers. And I suppose then it's also making the most of milestones, you know, and I talked earlier about getting their first mobile contract and understanding credit scores, and that would be, you know, an example of a good money milestone. But, you know, the thing is, savings is an even bigger one, and it's getting them to actually think about how to save, even though I know it's difficult in today's society, but actually getting them to understand, you know, how to save from a very, you know, when they actually do become more independent, or even, you know, whilst they're, you know, still living in care, to understand the importance of saving, you know, and to get them into this, you know, into the savings habit. Great articles within this here in terms of, you know, teaching young people about that, you know, and even children, you know, to have that wee emergency saving tucked away, you know, and even here it's giving them a savings calculator. You know, what do you want to save for? So if I go into the savings calculator, I can actually see, you know, what, you know how much I have to save. So for example, what's my savings goal? So I'm thinking I want to be able to buy a car and you know, my savings goal is, what is your savings goal? I'm going to say £5,000 for a car. How much have you saved now? I've saved nothing. Oh, sorry, how much can you save? It's going to say, I'm going to say £100 a month. What have you already saved? I've saved nothing. I don't know what the interest rate is, so then I could do a quick calculation. So it's going to tell me here, it's going to take me 4 years and 2 months to be able to save that £5,000. If I want to save the 5,000, to have that as you know, savings, and then be able to take out a loan, you know, from the credit union after that, or to be able to just buy a car at £5,000. And then it takes me back to starting to budget. So it takes me right back to the budget planner as a great example of that. But also, you know, in terms of savings, you know, there's great, and I'm sure you as clinicians are already aware of this, but you know, it talks about you know, how much is enough in terms of having emergency savings. You know, that's very, very important for young people to actually have that. And we talk about 3 months, you know, savings, emergency savings to cover unexpected costs. And it's a great article, and it gets them to actually think about, you know, how to build that fund up. And again, you know, getting them and nudging them to join, you know, the budgeting and saving community Facebook group, right through to giving them, you know, how, you know, good information about how they can save. And I know it's very difficult to be able to save in terms of energy at the moment, but it's getting them to actually think about other ways that they can save. But there's a brilliant one on here in terms of savings, and I just want to highlight for you. And it's the child trust funds. And I'm not sure, you probably are aware, and if I am, I do apologize that if you have this information. But you know, if you have children in care at the moment that are 11 years of age right now, or they're 20 years of age, when they were born, there was a child trust fund set up for them. Now it could be that, you know, that they were with their parents, and so there'll be all different circumstances with their parents. They set it up, and you know, it's in the system, and the parents are getting that information sent to their home address. Or if, you know, they started off you know, in care from a very, you know, from, you know, before they were 1 year old, the child trust fund regardless will have been set up for that young person. So if there was none that was set up by a parent, or, you know, or the care system themselves, HMRC actually set up for that child before their first birthday. So you can have a child, you know, again, good information, because, you know, when the child comes to 18, they will, you know, have a wee bit of money set aside, which will actually help them to either, you know, put it towards university, or to set themselves up in a wee savings account that they can actually start to build on independently. You know, so, or, you know, if you are aware of it, to make sure that they actually know about it, to be able to you know, to bring that information down so they can access the money. So this is what how to find a child trust fund. So, you know, they will have to find, when they have their 16th birthday, they'll get a national insurance number, and then their national insurance number, they'll be able to then access their child trust fund if HMRC actually set it up. If the parents set it up and the parent hasn't, you know, there's no communication, they'll still be able to go and access it with their NIC number and do some traceability in order to find that as well. So there's great information here in terms of, you know, the communication that you would do with HMRC, but you have to have the actual national insurance number in order to do that. Some of these child trust funds can be, I know if it's HMRC set it up, I'm told it can be over £1,000 that a child when they're 18 can avail of. For me, I set mines up for one of my children, and I, you know, because I set it up in a building society, it's only going to, I think, I'm told it could be worth something like £600. So those that were set up at the HMRC are worth a wee bit more, because you know, obviously they put them into you know, funds that actually accumulated better than the one that I actually chose as a parent. So I'm just making you aware of that, just in case you have children that, you know, are coming up, you know, to maybe do a bit of traceability, but also the child is 18 plus, that they actually are, that they've got that. The other thing that I want to kind of just point out is under savings is the help to save. Now you can have you know, a child that actually now at 18 they've gone into benefits, and they're actually, you know, there's the Help to Save Explained, and that's where they, you know, if they're on university credit, or they're on work and tax credit because they're doing some work, or work and tax credit with child tax credit because they have a young child, they can set up a Help to Save account. Now, this is a government scheme, but it's actually trying to, again, embed a good, solid financial foundation, that, you know, the young person actually understands, you know, in order to move, they need a bit of savings rather than spending all their money. So this is based on the government saying, right, you know, if you save anything between £1 and £50 per month, over a 2-year period, we will give you 50% on the savings that you made. So great way of explaining that to you is, if I save £50 per month for 2 years, I'll have saved £1,200. The government will pay me £600 bonus. I will then be able to save for a further 2 years. So if I did the same thing, the government will again give me another £600. So, you know, during a 4-year period, you know, I'll have £1,200 from the government on top of my savings. Now, it will be done pro rata. I can take the money out if I can't save on a particular month, or I need the money out. So it'll be done on a pro rata basis. There's, again, very low awareness of this in Northern Ireland. I mean, there's pockets of people that actually are doing it. But if you have a young person and they've gone into benefits, this is something to, you know, to have it sitting alongside them, so they can actually be able to think about their future self when it comes to actually their own financial well-being. So, you know, I just want to highlight that to yourselves in terms of the support that actually can be given. So I know I've done an awful lot of talking for just over an hour. I can take any questions, perhaps, you know, that is there for you. I'm just going to go back to the home page. So Alison, I can take any questions about anything else that perhaps that somebody has got a young person and they're looking for something for them, or anything else that they think of what else is on here that I can point out.
There's no question from the chat. I mean, you have given us an awful lot of information, and information with certain things about things I didn't know about. So, you know, it'll give me the opportunity to go and look at it. I don't know about others, if they've been aware or if there's any questions that they want to ask.
Hi, Barry McMullen here from the ACRO.
I recognise that voice, Barry.
Hi, Margaret. Just like to thank you for a very informative presentation. And you know, and as you said yourself during the presentation, it's for young people, and I suppose not so young people either. You know, we can all learn a wee bit from the website.
Definitely, Barry.
But what I was asking, or wanted to ask, is in terms of working with young people, an app might be more attractive for them. Yeah. And I was wondering, are there any plans to design an app?
Barry, it has been mentioned in terms of an app. We've actually put that up from Northern Ireland ourselves, Barry, because I agree with you. You know, it's far handier to go in. They've taken that information. Barry, could be a while before that'll turn itself around. However, what I would say is, if a young person does have it or brings it up on their phone, it is mobile phone. You know, it works really well in terms of a smartphone. So I was using it last night for travel insurance for my in-laws, and it's brilliant. You know, in terms of adaptability. Mm-hmm. But Barry, if you're talking up the line, you know, you talk quite senior to colleagues. Please, would you maybe push that button as well for me? Because
we can drop it into conversations.
Yeah, you know, so especially if you're, you know, it would be good even if any senior people coming to visit you soon, Barry. You know, it would be good to do that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
There's a big question there in the chat from Joanne. How do I access interpreter service?
Right, okay, so what you would do here is, if you wanted for a young person, Joanne, I would just go on to the Talk to Us Live and then obviously do the telephone. You call them and say that you need, you need to be able to communicate with somebody in, say, Lithuanian, and they will actually say, okay, can we call you back? And we'll, you know, you could kind of give them an agreed time, you know, tomorrow morning or Friday morning, and they'll say, okay, well, we'll call you at 11 o'clock, give us the details and we'll communicate with you. So, you know, that's how you would, you know, book it in. We won't have, you know, we could maybe have somebody within the hour, we could have somebody immediately, but it's more than likely they'll actually say, you know, what's the most convenient time to be able to communicate with you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Okay. So, you know, if anybody, if you wouldn't mind, I know that Leona is passing a quick survey. It's 9 questions. It'll take 5 minutes to complete. It would be most helpful. One of my colleagues is a health and social care lead, and she's actually, as I mentioned earlier, she's actually doing a lot of research at the moment, and we want to be able to bring you information through that is very transferable, so that you can you know, use it better in your work role. And we appreciate that, you know, sometimes when you're working with a young person, you've only, you know, if you're working within the GP or multidisciplinary teams, it may only be 10 minutes that you have with somebody. So we don't want to be able to send you around the world for a shortcut. We want to be able to have this stuff there for you, especially, you know, because you're so busy, and money is not necessarily, you know, the subject you talk about all day long, but you want to have a good source. And Barry, that's a great one. Add the app detail into that there, because at least young people having that on their phone, that's a good source to actually push that button in that direction, you know. So if there's editorial within that, perhaps maybe add that information in there as well, you know. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you, Margaret, for coming today, and thank you for everyone.
Thanks, Margaret.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Gerald.
I hope you have found it very informative, and it will be of help to you. We have recorded the session, and we will put it on the website and share the link, so you can pop into it at some stage to have a look at it, or feel free to share it with other people who maybe didn't make it today. So thank you very much, everybody.